A Town Named Silver Christmas Special. This morning I decided to stop by Katie's Cafe before heading out to work. The air was brisk this morning, so I had to put on a jacket. "Good morning, Katie," I said as I walked in the door. "Oh, hi, Randy," she replied. "How are you this morning?" Katie asked. "I'm doing well, thank you," I responded. "How about you?" I asked Katie. "I'm doing very well," she replied. "What can I get for you today, Randy?" Katie asked. "I will take a small coffee with cream for Mandy, a medium decaf coffee with cream for myself, and a medium black coffee for Gramps," I replied. "Coming right up," said Katie. As Katie was preparing our drinks, she said, "Hey, Randy, I'm on the planning committee for our town's Christmas celebration. We are missing 2 committee members this year. Would you and Mandy be interested in filling the spots?" asked Katie. "That sounds fun," I responded. "I will talk to Mandy and let you know," I said. "Actually, if you decide to join us, the committee meeting is this Saturday at noon at the convention hall," said Katie. "If you want to join us, you can just show up," Katie added. "All right, we will keep that in mind," I replied. "Let me guess, Gramps is on the committee." "He is," replied Katie. "I'm surprised that Gramps isn't the mayor," I responded with a laugh. "Oh, he was a few years back," replied Katie. "However, he stepped down because he said it took too much time away from his Halloween planning committee." "He sure puts a lot into that," said Katie. "I know that firsthand," I said. "Yes, you do," replied Katie. I arrived at the Silver Herald at 8:45 a.m. There were some light snowflakes on the way to work. After arriving, I walked in and greeted Mandy and Gramps. I handed them their coffees. "Good morning," I told them. "Here is a treat to start the morning," I added. "Thanks, Randy," they replied. "You are welcome," I responded. "Are there any big stories today?" I asked Gramps. "Nothing yet, kid," Gramps responded. "However, anything could happen at any time, so be ready," he added. "Yes, sir," I replied. We sat at the table and enjoyed drinking our coffees and chatting together. "How is Katie doing over at the coffee shop?" Mandy asked. "She's doing really well," I responded. "She said the business is picking up since the weather has been getting colder." "By the way, Mandy, did you know that Katie was on the town's Christmas planning committee?" "Yes, I did," Mandy replied. "Why do you ask?" said Mandy. "Katie told me this morning that they were missing 2 seats for the planning committee this year," I replied. "Katie wanted us to consider filling those seats this year." "Oh, that sounds great to me," replied Mandy. "How about you, Randy?" Mandy asked. "Yes," I responded. "It sounds like so much fun," I added. "There is a meeting this Saturday at noon at the convention hall," I told Mandy. "Katie said we could just show up and join them," I said. "Let's do it," replied Mandy with a huge smile on her face. We gave each other a high five. Gramps overheard our conversation. "Don't I get a high five also?" barked out Gramps with a smile. "You certainly do," we replied as we walked over and smacked hands together. "Glad you'll be joining us," said Gramps. "I was going to ask both of you, but Katie beat me to the punch," said Gramps. "That doesn't happen very often," said Mandy. "No, it doesn't," replied Gramps. The rest of the week was really slow at the Herald. Mandy worked on her column, and I upgraded some of the software on my computer. We also spent some time thinking of ideas to present to the Christmas committee on Saturday. At the close of business day Friday, I made plans to pick Mandy up at 9 a.m. to have breakfast together at Aunt Maggie's. After that, we would head over to attend the Christmas planning committee meeting. "I will see you tomorrow morning," I told Mandy. "See you then," she replied. I showed up the next morning at 8:45 a.m. to pick Mandy up. Mandy saw when I arrived, came out, and got into the car. "Did you order a taxi?" I asked Mandy. "Yes, I did, sir," Mandy replied. "And right on time, too," she added. "Well, I do my best," I told her. "And my customers usually give me good tips, too," I said. Mandy proceeded to lean over and kiss me on the cheek. "How was that for a tip?" said Mandy. "Best tip I've ever had," I replied. We had a wonderful breakfast at Aunt Maggie's. Mandy had hot cakes, scrambled eggs, and bacon. I had a bowl of oatmeal with cranberries and pecans and toast. After having a wonderful breakfast, we stopped at a few shops before arriving at the convention center. We were there at 1:45. We went inside, and by the number of people there, it looked like we were the last ones to arrive. "Hi, guys," said Katie. "We are so glad that you decided to join us," she added. "Our pleasure," we responded. We signed in and provided our contact information. Jan Wellington was head of the committee. Jan is a teller at the Silver Community Bank. Katie was keeping the meeting minutes. After everyone enjoyed some friendly conversation, Jan addressed the committee. "First, I would like us to welcome and thank Randy and Mandy for joining us this year. There are some key aspects of our Christmas celebration that we keep as tradition: the Christmas parade, the Christmas tree lighting ceremony in Town Square, the Festival of Lights, and finally the Christmas caroling. If you agree with keeping these the same this year, please raise your hand," said Jan. Everyone agreed to keep these traditions. "Well, those are our 4 main Christmas traditions," said Jan. "Who wants to volunteer for heading up the parade this year?" asked Jan. Paul Mallow raised his hand to volunteer. Everyone agreed with that, especially since Paul was the director of Silver High School Band. "Who would like to volunteer for heading up the Christmas tree lighting ceremony?" asked Jan. Wanda Frazier raised her hand to volunteer. Wanda is the pastor at Silver Community Church. "Who wants to volunteer for the Festival of Lights this year?" asked Jan. Gramps raised his hand. "All right," said Jan. "We have our 4 main traditions covered for this year. We are looking to add at least one more major event for this year," said Jan. "Does anyone have any ideas?" Jan asked. Jan had a whiteboard beside of her. "Let's brainstorm some ideas," said Jan. One person presented the idea of a Christmas cookie bake-off. Another suggested a Santa Claus house for the kids to visit. Someone else mentioned having a horse-drawn carriage ride. Mandy and I had previously come up with an idea. However, we agreed to keep it to ourselves at first, especially since we were new on the committee. "Any more ideas?" asked Jan. No one else responded, so Mandy stood up and said, "Randy and I would like to present an idea." "Wonderful," replied Jan. "Randy and I were thinking that it would be nice to have a live nativity scene and even act it out as a play. We would have Joseph and Mary coming to Bethlehem to pay their taxes, angels appearing to the shepherds, and shepherds visiting baby Jesus at the stable," said Mandy. Jan wrote all the ideas on the whiteboard. "Those are great ideas," said Jan. "Do we want to add all of these this year?" asked Jan. "If you vote for all of these this year, please raise your hand." It was unanimous. "All right, guys," said Jan. "We are adding a cookie bake-off, a Santa house, a live nativity scene, and a horse-drawn carriage ride." "How exciting," said Jan. "Would you and Randy like to head up the nativity scene and play?" asked Jan. Mandy looked at me, and I nodded my head yes. Mandy looked back at Jan and replied, "It would be our pleasure." "Thank you guys so much," replied Jan. "You are welcome," we responded. "Sounds like we have our work cut out for us, folks," said Jan. "As always, the other committee members, including myself, will be around to check on things and help in any way we can. We only have a month and a half to get things ready," said Jan. "We will kick off the Christmas celebration the first Saturday of December with the Christmas parade," said Jan. "The Festival of Lights is usually featured from December 1st through January 1st, said Jan. "Can we also tie in the horse-drawn carriage ride for that same timing?" Jan asked. "That sounds great," everyone responded. And Gramps agreed with the timing also for the Festival of Lights. "We will have the Christmas tree lighting ceremony on the second Saturday at 5:30 p.m. We will have the cookie bake-off on the third Saturday and Christmas caroling on the fourth Saturday. And we will have the nativity scene and play on Christmas Eve starting at 6:30 p.m. "How does that sound?" asked Jan. Everyone agreed that it was a good schedule. "We will meet back here next Saturday at noon to check on our progress," said Jan. "I want to thank everyone for coming today," Jan added. "I will send everyone an email of the minutes of meetings," said Katie. Weeks of planning went by. Everything was coming together nicely. December 1st arrived and everyone was excited for the parade that would begin at noon. People were setting their lawn chairs alongside the street as early as 9 a.m. Everyone enjoyed the parade together. Many of the businesses in town had beautiful floats. They had people in costumes walking the parade route and handing out candy to the kids. Sometimes they would just throw the candy from the floats. The children would run and gather the candy from the street. The second Saturday was upon us quickly. It was time for the Christmas tree lighting ceremony in town square. It was a wonderful turnout and everyone had a great time. Everyone enjoyed music, hot chocolate, and warm fellowship. The snow started falling down. It was a beautiful scene. The Festival of Lights remained very popular. Many people from other towns arrived just to drive through town for the Festival of Lights. On the third Saturday, everyone gathered round for the cookie bake-off and judging. We had quite a few contestants. It went extremely well for a new event this year. Camille won the cookie bake-off with her gingerbread man cookies. The cookies were auctioned off to help fund the Silver Christmas celebration for next year. It was a huge success. The fourth Saturday came and the town's Christmas carolers met at their headquarters. They practiced a little and then went all through town, sometimes stopping from house to house caroling. It was a wonderful experience for everybody. Christmas Eve was now upon us, and everyone in our play arrived on time. Mandy and I were not characters in the play since we were the organizers. It is time for our play to begin, so sit back, enjoy this special moment. Lights, camera, action.
Joseph traveled to Bethlehem with Mary, his fiancée, who was expecting a child. When they arrived, the momentous event occurred. Mary gave birth to a son. She tenderly wrapped him in cloths and laid him in a manger, a humble beginning for an extraordinary life. Meanwhile, shepherds were tending their flocks in the fields under a starlit sky. Suddenly, an angel appeared, and the glory of the Lord illuminated the night. The shepherds trembled in fear, but the angel reassured them. "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy for everyone. Today, a Savior is born in the town of David. You will find him wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." As the angel spoke, a multitude of heavenly beings filled the sky, proclaiming, "Glory to God in the highest and peace on earth." When the angels departed, the shepherds eagerly exclaimed, "Let's go to Bethlehem." They found Mary, Joseph, and the baby in the stable, marveling at the miracle. With joyful hearts, they spread the word, and all who heard were amazed. Mary treasured these moments, pondering them deep in her heart.
Everyone loved the play. The actors received a standing ovation. When the reenactment was finished, we heard the sound of a siren in the distance. A few minutes later, Dr. Jacobs received a call. Dr. Jacobs was playing Joseph in the play. "It's Jan," said Dr. Jacobs. "She had a serious car accident, apparently on her way here. Her car slid on black ice and went off the road, so I have to hurry over to hospital to get ready for her arrival," he added. Dr. Jacobs ran to his car. Mandy began crying and put her head on my shoulder. "Why do you think things like this happened?" asked Mandy. "I don't know," I responded, and I just held her for a while. Everyone from the play walked over to see what the matter was. We told them about the accident, and everyone was deeply concerned. All of a sudden, someone asked, "What about the baby?" "Oh, no," replied Mandy. "Jan is nearly 8 months pregnant." "Mandy," I said, "let's head over to the hospital. They can let Dr. Jacobs know that we are here, and he can keep us updated." "That's a great idea," replied Mandy. Everyone else from the place said, "We are coming too." "Let's go, you guys," I replied. We arrived and went inside Silver Memorial Hospital. We were quite the sight. There were Mandy and I with Mary and the shepherds. All that was missing were the animals and baby Jesus. And of course, Joseph, that is Dr. Jacobs, was in the ER attending to Jan. We were getting some pretty strange looks. Mandy walked up to the information desk and informed them that we are here for Jan and that we knew Dr. Jacobs. The young receptionist's name was Chelsea. Chelsea chuckled a little and said, "You mean Joseph, right?" She knew about the play he was in, and of course, he didn't have time to change clothes. "How is Jan doing?" Mandy asked Chelsea. "It's too early to tell," she responded. "I will let Dr. Jacobs know that you are here," Chelsea said. Mandy thanked Chelsea, and then all of us were seated in the waiting room, anxious for some kind of news. Almost an hour had passed when Dr. Jacobs came into the waiting area from one of the restricted hospital doors. All of us looked intently at Dr. Jacobs. He had his surgical mask on his face and his white surgical gown. You could tell that he still had his Joseph costume under that. We were all on pins and needles while we waited to hear what Dr. Jacobs had to say. He pulled down his surgical mask, and immediately we could see that he had a concerned look on his face. All of us remained silent. Dr. Jacobs said, "Jan is going to be all right." With those words, we felt a huge sigh of relief. "Jan suffered a concussion with multiple bruises and lacerations," said Dr. Jacobs. "The concern now is the baby," he continued. "The accident caused Jan to go into labor early," he added. "Jan is almost 32 weeks, Dr. Jacobs said. I have called her obstetrician, Dr. Mallard, and he is on his way. I will continue to update you on Jan's progress," said Dr. Jacobs. "I will also keep you updated on Dr. Mallard's findings," Dr. Jacobs added. We continued to wait for Dr. Jacobs to update us on the health of Jan's baby. "Is Jan married?" I asked Mandy. "That is a long story," said Mandy. "In short, she had a bad apple," said Mandy. "Her boyfriend Jim got her pregnant while he was seeing someone behind her back. When Jan told him that she was expecting a baby, he wanted nothing to do with that," Mandy added. "So he ran off with his girlfriend, never to be seen again. This baby means the world to Jan," said Mandy, as she teared up and began crying. "That is so sad," I responded. "Everything is going to be all right," I told Mandy as I continued to console her. The time was around 11 p.m. There were others in the waiting area with us. Like us, they were concerned about whatever situation they were dealing with. A cute little girl, probably around 7 years old, walked up to Charles Flynn, who was playing a role of one of the shepherds. The little girl tugged on his cloak. Charles looked down at the girl and asked, "Yes, little miss." The little girl asked Charles, "Why are you dressed up like this?" "We were putting on a play," replied Charles. "What kind of play was it?" the little girl asked. "Why, it was a play about baby Jesus," said Charles. "Do you know who that is?" he added. "No," the little girl responded. "I have a great idea," said Charles. "What is your name, sweetheart?" Charles asked her. "My name is Natalie," the little girl responded. "Well, my name is Charles," he told her. "Wait right there with your family, Natalie," Charles told her. "I may have a surprise for you," said Charles. "All right," Natalie replied as she went back with her family. Mandy and I watched as Charles and the little girl had the conversation, but we didn't know what was happening. Charles went up to the information desk and spoke with Chelsea. "Hello, Chelsea," said Charles. "Hello," Chelsea responded. "I have a question to ask you," said Charles. "Do you see that little girl over there?" Charles asked Chelsea. "Yes, I do," Chelsea replied. "She gave me a great idea," said Charles. "Can we reenact our play for her and the folks in the waiting area?" asked Charles. "That is a wonderful idea," said Chelsea. "Let me ask my supervisor and I'll get right back with you," she said. Chelsea spoke with her supervisor about the request. The supervisor went out to the people in the waiting area to get their thoughts. Everyone in the waiting area agreed with the idea. Chelsea quickly let Charles know that it was all right. Charles walked back over to the little girl who was with her family. "We are going to do our play for you and everyone here," Charles told her. "Hooray!" Natalie responded. Charles walked back over to us and let us know what was going on. We were so excited to put our play on in the hospital. Dr. Jacobs even came out to play his role as Joseph. A young mother was there with her baby boy and a baby carrier. We asked her if she would like her baby to be baby Jesus in our play. We told her that Natalie did not know the story. The young mother was thrilled. We reenacted the play for everyone in the waiting area. We had doctors, nurses, and other staff coming out to watch. A number of them were taking pictures and videos. Mandy did the narration of the play as she had earlier. When we finished the play, Natalie walked up to Charles and tugged on his cloak again. "I know what Christmas is all about now," said Natalie. "You do?" Charles responded. "It isn't about gifts under the tree," said Natalie. "It is about the gift of Jesus being born to us in the town of Bethlehem. And the gift to us is having the love of Jesus in our hearts," she added. "That is right," Charles responded enthusiastically. "I am so proud of you, Natalie," he told her. "Thank you," replied Natalie with a big smile on her face. Our play was over a few minutes after midnight. Dr. Jacobs had gone back to check on Jan. He was still in his Joseph costume. This time he came back out, and he had a big smile on his face. "Listen up, everybody. Today, on this Christmas day at exactly 12:01 a.m., a child is born," said Dr. Jacobs. "I know," responded Natalie, "baby Jesus." "Well, that is true," replied Dr. Jacobs. "However, in this case, our friend Jan successfully delivered a beautiful and healthy baby girl." "What is her name?" Natalie asked. "That is truly the amazing part," said Dr. Jacobs. "I told Jan about how you asked about the story of baby Jesus, and she thought that was so special. So she decided to name her daughter after you. The little girl's name is Natalie Grace Wellington." The little girl ran up and gave Dr. Jacobs a big hug. She had tears of joy in her eyes, as well as all of us did. After that, she ran over to Charles and hugged him. Natalie then gave each of us a hug. Natalie looked over at the baby who played the role of baby Jesus in our hospital play. The moment was so special that it felt as if it were in slow motion. Natalie walked over to the baby and she kissed him on the cheek. The baby's mother gave Natalie a big hug and responded, "This is what Christmas is all about."